All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Christian Kuntz Podcast. I'm here with my boys Vinny and Jesse today. Trey's got a work call. He'll be joining us on the next episode. We got Uncle, I miss you, Trey. Uncle Swings behind the boards. We got a very special guest, straight from Germany, a guy that's living, walking proof that there's no straight path. You said it perfectly, Vin. No straight path to the NFL, and I'm very excited about this episode because this guy's story is absolutely crazy. Let's give a warm welcome to Julius Welschof. Yes, how you feeling today, Joel?
Feeling good.
Good? Yeah. What's the weather like in Germany right now?
It's probably like this. Yeah.
It's gloomy?
Yeah, where I'm from, Bavaria, it's, we get snow in the winter, so maybe a little more snow in the winter than in Pittsburgh. But other than that, we got all 4 seasons.
Are you, we talked about this, Dirk Nowitzki. He's like a god over there, right?
He's a god. He's got his own documentary and everything. So he's one of the sport legends in Germany.
He's a sports legend here in America. Yeah. I mean, with the Dallas Mavericks, absolute superstar. He's one of my favorite players growing up. I love Dirk.
He's got his own statue too, right?
Yeah, he's got his own statue outside Dallas.
So were your heroes looking up in the sports world? Were they from Germany or America? What's your?
For me, I mean, soccer is like a big thing in Germany.
Right.
So for me, it was always soccer. Bayern Munich. It's like 30 minutes away from where I live, so I had the chance to go to a lot of games there. But yeah, I never watched any American sports really growing up. They didn't really show it on TV too. Football is kind of becoming a thing now the last couple of years, but growing up, you always had to get these streams that on these websites to get football games on. So it was more European sports I was looking when I was growing up.
What's the vibe and tone of sports like football coming to Germany? Is that something everybody's interested in, or is it kind of?
Yeah. So especially now with NFL wanting to have games, they had expand in Europe or even all over. We play in Ireland, but my dad was saying when there was an NFL game in Munich, it was sold out within 10 minutes, and they could have filled up the stadium 3 times.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's getting really popular in Germany now.
Yeah, I've heard good things. I was just curious to know the temperature from.
Yeah, I think it's also because we only have soccer, and people kind of want to, cheer, watch other sports. Kind of here you have baseball, basketball, football. So I think football becoming a thing gives a lot of people a chance to also cheer on other athletes in another sport.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I wanna hop right into growing up in Germany, where you're from, what that was like. You were on path to become a skier.
Yeah.
That's absolutely wild. And now you transition from skiing to you're on an NFL roster right now. What was it like growing up, skiing, playing sports, just growing up in Germany?
So I moved to Bavaria when I was 5. So Bavaria is south of Germany, almost Austria. And first thing we did in the winter was we took a ski course with a guide, and the guide told me, I'm pretty good at skiing. I should join a ski club. So I did that when I was 5. I really liked it, and I did it competitive for 12 years till I was 17.
So you're sick at skiing.
Yeah.
You're pretty good.
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Yeah. And then also soccer and tennis are sports I did as well. So I did all those sports growing up. It's different here. You go to school and then you kind of done at 1 o'clock and you go to those club teams. You kind of have to choose which club team you want to go to. But skiing, I'd say, was my main thing. It was 6 times a week in the winter, 5 times in the summer.
Oh my gosh!
I would go right after school. My parents would do carpooling. My mom would pick me and my friend up one day, and then his mom the other. They would drive us to the mountain. We would eat lunch in the car, practice all day, come home at 6 o'clock, do homework, and then kind of do the same thing again the next day.
So what was the ultimate dream as a skier? What would be your goals that you're building towards? Is it Olympics? Is it bigger than that? Is it national sport?
Skiing is, where I grew up in Bavaria, because the only area in Germany that's kind of got the mountains, so it was big there, but I never did it to make a living off of it. To be a professional skier, it might be 1 or 2 in Germany that really can make a living. I really just did it for the fun, and you kind of know when you turn 17, you're kind of done. The competitiveness, it goes beyond. You go more international, and yeah, it's
so there's kind of like a narrative online, like when you read and you do research, that
Mm-hmm.
you were like pursuing a career in like to be a professional skier. So
Mm-hmm.
like, is that just a narrative that, you know, us Americans have just been like, yeah, he liked to ski, so he was going to be a professional skier?
No,
Like,
you definitely, you know, try to become a professional, but
Okay.
it's just so competitive in Germany. At some point, you kind of realize, you know, I might not, you know, have the chance to make a living off of this because it's really time consuming. So you kind of either really pursue it or you kind of go on and choose a normal path, going to school and all that.
Yeah. So to
Yeah.
piggyback off of that, I read that you didn't start football until you were 16.
Yeah.
Is that because when you had to kind of make that decision as far as skiing, something else, was that factored into it? Or
It was kind of, I was done in high school, and then people usually, some take off a whole year and do like travels all over the world. And I was visiting my grandfather's friend. He has a son. He lives in Jacksonville, Florida. And we asked him, could I go there for 6 weeks? I've never been to the U.S. just to kind of explore the U.S. My parents paid for, you know, for my food and everything. So they gave me some money. So I went over there, and, you know, he kind of introduced me to football. We threw some balls in the backyard, and he was like, oh, you're pretty tall. You're pretty athletic.
dude.
You're built like a brick shit house, dude.
Yeah. You should have started playing football.
Yeah.
have you ever heard that phrase?
No.
He probably thinks that's a diss on him.
No, it's a compliment.
Well, I just want to say this real quick because I actually in high school I took German for up to like the
Prove
AP
it.
courses. Oh, dude, I can't say it. Damn
Guten
thing.
Tag, guten Tag.
Yeah, I can say their Bleistiftspieler is the pencil sharpener, right? Okay, see, I just like that word. No, but could
Why
you?
is that the one you know?
Everyone got those random German phrases they remember.
Their waffle is chalkboard, right?
What is it?
Waffle?
Yeah.
They're waffle. Yeah, see, I mean, come on now, German. All right. No, but
Jaeger.
I wanted you to actually explain the schooling system, which I really think is interesting in Germany. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys have a schooling system where, as a younger than college kind of starts earlier for you guys, where you could go to a school specialty in sports, trades, other things. Yeah. It's different from the American schooling system.
Yeah.
Can you explain that? And did that factor into your professional sports career?
First to fourth grade, everyone is going to the same school, and then you can kind of tell, you know, some people are doing better in school, some might struggle more.
Right.
So the teacher and then after that, there's like 3 levels. The higher one is, you know, where school is, you know, more, you have longer hours, it's more intense, and it goes from 5th to 12th grade. And then like the mid-level is 5th to 10th grade, and then I don't want to say lower, but like where people might struggle more with school is 5th to 9th. So the teacher kind of advises my family, you know, he probably will do good in the upper level, which, you know, my grades showed that I could do it, but my parents were saying, you know, you do so much sports, you should probably go to the mid-level, 5th to 10th grade. You get out at 1 o'clock. You can do your sports, and then you can always do 3 more years after that, and you pretty much have the same degree as if you would have done 5th to 12th. You just kind of spend 1 more year of catching up.
Wow. So crazy.
Yeah, it's so different. I was like always fascinated by
And then,
that. Do you guys is that something you're very like proud of?
And then because then after that, what I did, a lot of people do an apprenticeship, or they go to school to get the degree to go to college. Which I did it was like a dual thing, where I did an apprenticeship and I also got my degree to go to college. It's like some companies offer that. So I worked as a mechanical engineer. So I learned the job of a mechanical engineer over 3 years.
You could do it all, huh?
When did you learn English? Was it during that schooling system? Is that a requirement?
5th grade, you kind of start with that. It's like one of the major. It's math, German, and English was like our major, main classes. And then you pretty much. I worked at a company for 3 years. They kind of teach you how to become a mechanical engineer. You go to school to learn about, you know, the things you need to know. And I also got the degree to go to college afterwards if I wanted to. And you
went to Michigan, like a very prestigious school.
Yeah.
It's not just like you're going to some slapdick like state school or not slapdick any, you know what I mean, but you're going to a very
academic,
prestigious school.
Yeah.
So what kind of led you into, you know, football and going to Michigan? Like, how did that prosper and come to life?
Yeah. So when my, host father told me I should start playing football because he thinks I can play college football, I was like, there's no way. Like in Germany, if you want to become a professional soccer player, you got to start when you're 5 years old, 6 years old.
I'm sure.
So I was 16 at that time. I was like, there's no way, but I'll try. So I went back home and joined a club team. So I did my apprenticeship. Like it starts like 6 o'clock till like 3, 4 o'clock. I get out of work and then I went to the club team and we did practice for like 2 hours. And I started to realize, play tight end and then defensive end. I didn't even know what those positions. I knew what a tight end was, but defensive end I never heard because when you watch TV, you always see those people catch balls. Like you don't.
Yeah, you want to be the tight end, catching touchdowns and stuff.
But then I realized, as a defensive end, I don't know. I'd say maybe it was easier to catch up versus tight end. You kind of have to know more maybe schemes or route running, and defensive end you kind of just run upfield and try to get by O linemen.
Yeah.
So I was more comfortable playing D end. And then I realized, I did pretty well. And then I saw this guy on Facebook who was trying to help Europeans get a scholarship in the U.S. His name was Brandon Collier. He was from the U.S. He played a little bit in the German football league, and he kind of realized there's some talent out there. So he started his own thing where he, recruits these kids and tries to get them a scholarship in the U.S.
Wow.
And I saw one video. He just started. He had a kid at a Towson University, and it was, he took like this official visit with him. And for me, it was like super cool to like see that European people can do that. So I hit him up on Facebook, if I could meet with him. We would do like the combine drills so he can kind of evaluate me if I do well in these camps. And he said, your numbers look pretty good. I want to do my first tour next year with about 10 Europeans. I want you to be there. You don't have to pay me anything. You just kind of have to pay, your own hotel, your own flight. Yeah. So I did that. So I got a second job, kind of just helping someone out at a house. He was renovating it to get some extra cash, so I could afford to. It's kind of expensive, a flight, $1,000, and the camp fees, the hotels. So I did that second job to kind of get money together. So we flew over there, flew into New York. We got the Sprinter van, and we kind of drove, from New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio State, Michigan. It was like a 2-week tour. We pretty much did camps almost every day. We stayed at a hotel, got the ice machine put in the bathtub to kind of
get your cold tub.
Yeah, get your cold tub in afterwards. And that's kind of how I got on the radar for coaches, going to these camps, sticking out, being German, 6'6", running pretty well. And that's how kind of all introduced the coaches to me.
Wow. So when you got to Michigan, what kind of like culture shock was that with the classes, the students, the classrooms, the professors probably talking super fast in a classroom with 300 people at Michigan? Yeah. What was that learning curve like for you?
It was pretty big. Just coming to a team with like 100 players, the summer workouts. You kind of realize, wow, there's like you kind of feel like you're at rock bottom again because they all ahead language-wise, football-wise. Like they would tell me we're gonna do this drill, and I didn't even know what drill that is. And I was like literally after when the camp was going on, sitting together with the GA, and kind of he explained to me what this drill means and like really
how it's gonna translate and stuff.
And then also just the language barrier. I took like some English classes. It was me and a bunch of other international kids, just kind of making sure our English is on top. So definitely the first year or two was language, just the level of IQ of football, like my body. I was still, learning, I was old, but I just started playing football. Like I had to put on some muscle, it was just.
You've only been playing football for 12 years. Like seriously 12 years, and now you're on an NFL roster and with one of the most historic franchises. Like I'm sure the Pittsburgh Steelers are pretty well known in Germany as well. What's that like for you going back home? I know you went back home earlier this offseason. Do people look at you differently? Like, dude, you're playing for the Steelers. Like, this is crazy.
No,
like,
it was pretty cool. Like the local newspaper, they always want to reach out because I'm from a smaller town too, so it's always cool to, see some people do well in sports. So it's definitely, even my mom says, people start texting me, congrats and all that. So it's pretty cool. Yeah,
that is cool. And then for you to land here and you get to learn from the best in the world, TJ Watt. What's that been like?
I always say it's like having 2 or 3 more coaches. Like in college, you just have that one coach, but he's trying to explain it to you. But with TJ or Alex or even Nick, they teach you and then they do it themselves. So if you don't maybe not really get what they mean, you just watch them play and do it. Versus in college, you still have a really good coach, but sometimes you might not get what he's saying.
Yeah.
But if you actually see TJ do it or Alex, then you can watch film again and then watch yourself if you do it the same way. So it's like having like extra coaches, and you get that. TJ, like in the preseason, he would talk to me right after I get off the sideline. Like you get the instant coaching. You don't have to wait till meetings. So it's definitely really beneficial for me.
Yeah, you can't put value on that when a veteran guy's coming, especially like that. That's he's seen it all, and when he's coming and helping you, like I know you guys are listening. Dude, this is crazy. I'm thankful that you came in today because this story is like, it just gives a perspective on like everybody in that locker room has such a crazy journey path to the NFL, and like this one is probably the wildest one that we've come across, and we're 37 episodes in. So I appreciate you coming on. You finished up at Michigan, transferred to Charlotte for your final year. Alex Highsmith, Larry O, you come onto our team knowing the 2 Charlotte guys were already on our team, very successful pros from Charlotte. Was that like a comfort, knowing that there was some Charlotte guys there and you're kind of following in their footsteps?
Definitely was. I've never met Alex, but, first thing I saw him, he like dapped me up and it felt like we already knew each other. So it's definitely cool. And then even Larry, like having both those in the meetings with me together, it just kind of, you don't feel like you're like a new guy. You kind of feel like you can already relate with them because you went to the same school. So it's definitely cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, so it also says you were a part of the international, what do they call it? International Player Pathway Program for the NFL, I'm assuming. So what is that like? I mean, we've obviously never experienced that or heard anything about it. Like, is there pros and cons to it, stuff that you would want to see differently, or was it really good in your eyes?
Yeah.
How was your experience?
The pathway program is kind of they kind of select guys who never played football to teach them football, and they do it in Florida for like 3 months. So I didn't do that, but the NFL, they made a new rule that every team can have an international player, and it's like an extra spot on the practice squad.
Yeah, that's cool.
Just because also, like I said, in Germany, the game's growing so much. So I think also the NFL kind of sees the potential of, if every team can have an international, like if I'm German, like German fans, they probably love to cheer on maybe the Steelers or whoever has a German or from England or Ireland. So I think that's why they did it. And I think it's also good that they kind of have a maybe more secure spot, because I feel like some of those guys might be behind and just need that extra year or two to kind of adapt to it and get to the level where guys who've been playing for 10, 20 years are already.
You felt it was accommodating, and it kind of hit on all the things that you needed to get into the league and feel comfortable. And was there a transition as far as getting you the proper resources that you may not have? Because it's probably got to be a very insane situation just to get to the league and go through college, but to then have to like live in a whole different area. Some people have to travel states, which is definitely demanding, but you're coming from Germany to America, so there's a lot more that you have to deal with.
Yeah, it's like when I move, I got to move all my stuff every time. It's not like I can drop some off at my parents or somewhere. So definitely, sometimes it can be challenging. But I never wanted to look at it like, I got this secured spot. Like, I don't need to work as hard as maybe others because I have the secured. So I never really trying to think of it like, I have this spot secured. So I was just trying to go with that mindset last year through camp and everything.
I'm curious about, first time in the building. What was it like when you met Coach Tomlin? What did he say to you? And did he have like some high expectations? Like, how did that conversation go?
It was pretty cool. Like, I didn't know what to expect. I feel like on TV sometimes he seems all serious in the game, obviously. So, but it was the complete opposite. I was like surprised in a good way. He's like, really a player's coach, hangs out with you, wants to get to know you. Like, even in camp, he sits down with you and kind of asks, how's Germany, how's Michigan. So it was definitely a cool experience to meet him and talk to him more.
Did he give you some quote that you had to like look up later and translate or
he would always call me Drago, and then I realized it like it was an OTAs. He's like, "What's up, Drago?" And then like the fifth time, I was like, "I think he's talking to me." Like I didn't realize he was talking to me. So Drago is German,
cool one.
German stallion, like some of those, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is so great. Yeah. Drago.
I'd love to just see Mike Tomlin interact with like international players because it's a different thing. Like, he's known as a player's coach and he's known to be very good at that. And I would assume it probably translates to international players, but it's a different dance, right? Like you got to understand it's different cultures. Like, so
it's different.
That's got to be fun.
But he's one of those coaches that is well known, like, overseas, like internationally. I think Coach Tomlin, like
he's
Bill
integrated
Belichick,
in that?
like I mean, he's been in the league for so long, and with the Steelers, like he's the face of the Steelers. Like I remember first game I watched was Seahawks Super Bowl, like I think the Broncos maybe. So like Pete Carroll was like, for me, it was like whenever like I think of the Seahawks would be him, and then Steelers Mike Tomlin, and like Patriots Bill Belichick. So he's one of those coaches that are well known all over Germany.
Back to the international program. I know you asked a question on that. It's beneficial for both parties, especially when you get a guy like Julius, and we have another actually international player, Ayo. He's from London, but you get these guys, and it's an extra practice squad spot. But what people don't realize is like they're real like practice squad play, like they're very good players. So
a lot of handouts.
Yeah, you get an extra roster spot with a very good player that has a chance to develop, and then you just
not had as much tape and
exactly. You just never know. And those
untapped.
And those like he's only been playing football for a little over 10 years. Like some of these guys have been playing 20, 25 years in there, since they were born essentially. But it is beneficial, and it's great when you have, guys like Julius on the roster that, add value to your practice squad and your roster in your locker room, because you're a good dude too. So
when that started becoming more prominent in the NFL? I know baseball obviously has been doing it forever, Pirates notoriously. But even like Joel Embiid played basketball. He picked up a basketball when he was 15, and now he's one of the most dominant players in the league. When did the NFL start adapting that, or is that something that's been in the works for a long time?
I think that's been in the works, like kind of when I started, maybe like 4 years ago. I remember.
So it's
kind of new.
Yeah,
but I was just thinking, like with basketball, I feel like you have a lot of like European, or not Europeans, but like I don't know, Djokovic, Doncic, not that I'm saying I'm like them, but there could be players, out there that might have the potential eventually to become like them, and that's 100%. Like a snag for a team if they, sign them, and then 1 or 2 years and they see the potential. I mean, but like usually it might be like this big skill positions like O-line, D-line, where like that's why I felt comfortable at the end. Like I don't know if receiver or quarterback, I feel like you need some more experience. But like having a O-lineman from Russia or Serbia, that's like already built like that. You just kind of have to teach them how to block, and that's
it. And shit. Yeah. Do you feel it's a part of your mission once your career's said and done to kind of be a spokesperson or a coach, maybe whatever terminology you want to use? But when you go back home, is this something that you want to be an advocate for? And then do you guys like, for the guys that have been in the league, I think the only other German player I've ever heard of was, I think his name was Brandon Werner, and he played for the Colts. Yes. Played for the Colts. I remember McAfee talking about him. And just the culture, because McAfee's a very fun guy to be around, and he was so fascinated by it.
Yeah.
Is that something that you guys keep in a circle, and then you want to go back to Germany with those guys and
talk about it? Jurgen is like pretty much the face of the NFL in Germany right now. He's commenting all those games. But I definitely would like to help the young people. Like I maybe want to do a camp next year, just to kind of advocate for the sport, because it helped, like it changed my life, like really.
Yes.
Like without football, I would probably be in Germany and try to pursue an engineering path.
Yeah, just an engineering degree.
No big deal.
Yeah.
But now I've been here for 10 years, just got engaged, so like planning
congrats.
on staying here.
Congrats.
Yeah. So it definitely changed my life in a good way.
Somebody from back at home in America?
America, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at Michigan.
Look
yeah.
at that.
So, yeah.
What
God bless America, baby.
what's been like your motivating, you know, you've obviously had ups and downs of your career. You've probably never imagined yourself being here, like with the Steelers on an NFL roster. What's been like, you know, your mindset and your push, your reason why? Like, why do you keep going? Why do you keep doing this? Why do you want to be in the NFL and be successful at this?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much, you know, decided, you know, I set the goal that I wanted to achieve, and I pretty much like packed all my stuff and left. So I didn't want to, you know, maybe embarrass myself or let my family down by not achieving what I told myself I wanted to achieve.
Sure. You didn't embarrass anybody.
But yeah, just having, you know, I'm not saying like I'm gonna do this for my family or this and that. I kind of really just wanted to prove myself that I can do it if I set something into my mind. So that was kind of my why. If, you know, I set a goal. If you work for it, you can really achieve it.
Yeah.
How was that like leaving your family, packing up all your things? You were young.
Yeah.
What was that like? Just like getting up and going to a different country.
I mean,
crazy.
For me, I was really excited, but like that was the first time I saw my dad cry.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of tough. Like if you see that. So for me, I was really excited for that adventure. But then, you know, being there like for 5 years and really only going home maybe once a year, it's kind of you kind of start to realize, you know, it's also like not just a 3-hour flight. Like you really travel for a whole day, and just even now, every time I go home, I'm like, damn, it's kind of nice here too. But you know, you build your relationships. Like if I would go home right now and would want to like do like a regular job or like work, I don't think people there know what it's really like to be a college athlete. Like they think, you know, I just came over here to play football, have some fun. They don't really value the student athlete aspect.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like I built my most important connections for life after football here, and to kind of set me up to be successful after football. So that's what my goal is, you know, to stay here afterwards as well.
I love that.
Yeah. Anything you would do different? Because it sounds like you kind of were on a ride for this whole thing. You know, you go to skiing and then you get into football. Guys basically like, hey, I think you should do this. Yeah. Looking back, you know, and I know you're still in a very raw point of your career, but even looking at where you're at now, is there anything that you would do differently? And do you just believe it's like a fate thing?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a fate thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, if I had a son, if I have a son one day, I probably would also kind of let him do other sports and don't, you know, put him into football when he's like 5. Because I feel like, at least for me with skiing, you kind of get burned out when you do it for 12 years. I can also see it at college sometimes when guys came to Michigan who've played it for 12 years. They don't get to play right away. You know, they rather just party because they're frustrated. Yeah. And for me, just like really having played the game for 2 years, I was still like hungry and motivated to learn. I think that's why what was, you know, good for me to not get distracted by, because there's a lot of opportunities to get distracted in college. Yeah. For me to, you know, I left my country, left my family. Like, I don't want to just go here and party and, you know, kind of waste it. So I think just, you know, trying everything out. Like, if you don't like football, you don't need to do it. But I always loved sports, and, you know, I loved skiing for 12 years. I got introduced to football. I love that, and that's why I'm still loving it.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent in the idea of young kids playing a lot of different sports to develop in different ways, hand-eye coordination and different flexibility. And when I was doing the research on your skiing, it said, now this could just be a report on it, it's speculation, but it said it helped with like your flexibility and like leg mobility. I've never heard of that. Usually when I think of like multi-sport athletes, I'm thinking baseball, basketball, football, right? The main one, soccer. But do you think that gave you a unique edge that not a lot of people have?
Because you that shoulder down,
right, where you could really like do that, and like, are coaches aware of that? Where they're looking at you like, this dude can,
because that's skiing.
It is kind of I didn't think about that.
Yeah, but definitely.
And you do kind of hit that move where you're like, you do get, he's like.
That's from skiing, I would
yeah.
imagine.
Yeah,
Wow.
like it's definitely, I think what stood out with me on those camps was the flexibility and being 6'6" and still like flexible.
Move like that is crazy.
Yeah, and I think it really came from skiing. Like my coach just said, a good skier is made in the summer, not in the winter. So really the summer conditioning, a lot of balance stuff, a lot of agility. Because skiing, you just kind of have to really be able to change directions quick, bend down, have a good, you go a lot up and down. So it's not really much about strength. It's more about athleticism. And I think a lot of guys maybe in high school think when they play football, I gotta, be strong and lift a lot of weight. But that kind of gets you more stiff. And I feel like it's easier to teach, to get you strong versus teach you how to be flexible and athletic. Yeah.
Do you see yourself doing workouts that are from skiing and people are like, what the hell is this dude doing over here?
Yeah, like we do those flexibility tests in Michigan with you leave your heel on the ground and how far you can put your knee forward, and I had no trouble doing it, and I was number one by so much just because from skiing.
That's sick, dude.
But yeah, definitely some of those things when I look back, it's definitely from skiing, and I feel like no one on my team ever skied, so that's why you can kind of tell why I might do easier on certain things than others. But then there's other things where I was behind, just football-wise, like IQ or just kind of peak shit, like using my hands properly, or at pad level. That was just something that never got taught to me as well in Germany, because we had like 2 or 3 times practice a week for about 2 hours, so you don't really get taught a lot of technique. You just kind of trying to get that playbook down, and even football meetings, I never had one until I went to college. So just that component and seeing how important that is and how much it translates to the field was something I had to learn.
That's so interesting. We're about to catch Christian at Seven Springs.
I can't ski, dude.
You can't.
Yeah. I mean, I did when I was younger, and I was no good. Yeah, that's hard.
Like you developed that early.
What's it been like sitting in on the team meetings, and how do you feel like your IQ has developed in football now through sitting in Mike T's meetings and your defensive meetings with TA and all the veteran guys in there? How do you feel like your IQ has developed?
I think Michigan did a pretty good job, getting me to a certain level. And the difference in the NFL, I feel like I realized it always depends who you play. That's how you kind of adjust your playbook, like kind of have your base calls, and then you make these fine adjustments depending what team you play. So I think that was the biggest difference for me. But just the playbook itself, I think Michigan, we kind of ran a similar scheme. So I was glad that when I saw the playbook here, it wasn't too much of change, just different terminologies. But definitely how you prepare every week and how quick also. When the game's over, you kind of just go to the next week, just because the season is so long and you don't have any time to waste. So that was kind of.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I've been in football. I've been playing since the 4th grade, and I feel like I've learned so much just being in the NFL locker room, obviously, and how teams prepare, how you play differently versus different teams. There's different strategies, different everything, different personnel. That guys are up some weeks because you're playing the Browns or Baltimore, and it's going to be a physical game, whereas opposed you play a West Coast team, and that guy might be down that week because we know we're going to be passing or whatever. So I feel like being in those team meetings, like, I don't know about you, but like I'm locked in on those team meetings because those are like so valuable. Like I'm writing notes down, and I have my notes from my rookie year, and like just stuff like that, and like Mike T quotes and how he just goes about things, and I don't know, that's so valuable, and I feel like people don't realize, like, NFL guys learn too. Like we're learning too. It's constant learning, and it's cool to hear from you and like hear how your IQ has developed in a football way. So
I think the biggest development, or where I learned the most, was also special teams with Danny Smith. Just because in college you do have special teams meetings, but it's like 30 minutes, and they're just trying to get down who's doing what. But with Danny, it's really a lot of technique stuff, and really like getting like from a coach who's been doing it his whole life. Just I learned so much of that, and it's a lot. You want to do it all at once, but it's just so much, and the fine tuning, and just him saying, like even like you see it in the big picture. Like if you would have done this step better, he always says you're one step short, but then you look back on the film and you can see
misstep
where you missed that step. So these little things that you might not see yourself, but just him pointing those things out, I feel like I learned the most in those special teams meetings.
Have you ever had a coach like Danny Smith?
No. No.
He's wild, isn't he?
Wild,
yeah, he's great though. But it is true, the finer details of like, a guy missing a block punt to blocking a punt is like one step just in the start. If you're rolling into it and you take a step backwards first, you're not blocking the punt.
Right.
But then even like he walks by me and said, I saw yesterday on your get off on defense, you misstep. Like you might have gotten to the quarterback. Like him also just watching your regular practice film to see, how you do and where he could use you. It's like this guy, I feel like he's just watching everything twice, 3 times. It stays in there till late. So
he watches more film than anybody. He truly does. Like sometimes in practice, we'll be obviously talking to him on the sidelines because we're specialists, whatever. We're sitting there, and he'll be like, "Hey, I got to go because he's scouting. Like he's he's watching the receivers run routes and seeing who could possibly play gunner, who could jam corners, DNs. Who's going to be a rusher for me on punt. Like he's watching all that stuff, and that's cool that you recognize that, and I'm sure you take that.
Yeah, because a guy like me, it really comes. On the exit meetings we were talking, it really comes down to special teams at the end of the day. So you really want to make sure you take advantage of it and learn as much as you can.
Yeah, I'm curious too. So are you a film junkie, or you hear about guys that didn't have much exposure to football early on? Are you playing Madden? Like, what's your little
for
tips
me?
and
It's
tricks?
a little bit of everything. Like definitely walkthroughs when it comes to learning the playbook. Just going through it before. I'm also really big on notes. I try to write down as much as I can, and then just like learning it before and then right after doing the walkthrough, just kind of the muscle memory, because I feel like it's different. Just if you look at a piece of paper versus you're out there and you get the call and you see people like the running back maybe motioning and just adjusting to it, and it's got to happen like within seconds. Just so I think a combination of it all for me really does it.
What's been like your, we always ask guys like your welcome to the NFL moment, whether they get their ass kicked here or there. What's been like your kind of like take a deep breath, like holy shit, I'm here, like I'm on the field, this is crazy. Like when did that hit you, and what was that exact moment?
It's just like the level. Like let's say when we played the Bills, the left tackle, like I go for a long arm and he just snaps it down. I eat shit, and then the next play I'm like, okay, I know he's gonna do it. It's gonna go a little harder. And he does it again, and you're like, damn, like this guy is just stronger or anything. Like you really like.
It'd be detailed.
Yeah, it got to be detailed.
Was that in the joint practice we had with them when you got your first real live reps versus other people?
Yeah, and then the game we played against them, like in game when he's going 100%, and then I did too. Like,
you had 2 sacks that game, didn't you?
That was my first, and the Lions was 2.
Yeah, you were killing it. You were killing it in preseason, and then unfortunately you got hurt.
Yeah.
What was that kind of like? Was that one of your first injuries, or have you had to battle some adversity with some injuries in your career?
Yeah, like in Charlotte, after the 4th game, I was done, which was kind of like, because I was debating, should I do my 6th year now? I'm already old, but if I get more film, that'd be great. And then, of course, I got injured, so I didn't know if I still had a chance for the NFL, but luckily it worked out. And then with the Steelers, I always try to look at it in a positive way. I was like, it could have been in the first game where you didn't have a sack, you didn't have any production, you didn't show any live tape. So it being in the 4th quarter with 10 minutes left on the last preseason game might have been, curse and a blessing. At least I had some film and I went through the whole camp and they know who I am as a person, what I can do. So I was just trying to look at it that way.
How much better do you feel like you've gotten already just through this whole year of, training camp, or last year training camp, practices, being on the P squad and going into this year? How much have you feel like you progressed already?
I think out of like
I feel like you're going to make a huge step.
Yeah. I think out of the 7 years I've played football, like from year to year, like that last year was the one where I feel like I learned the most and progressed the most, also because I got a lot of reps. I feel like,
oh yeah,
it comes with reps and them giving me the chance to play a lot in the preseason, but also taking a lot of reps in camp, plus having the coaching I had with Denzel, Dunbar,
Phenomenal.
TJ, Alex, Nick, and just watching them too, just helped a lot to kind of improve. And then right now, I'm trying to improve on special teams because it was something, I did play in college, but like I said, Danny Smith really coaches you up, and I think I didn't get as much of a coaching as I get from Danny. So
for sure, I feel like you'll absolutely eat on kickoff.
Yeah.
Like they just changed the rule. I don't know if you hit a touchback now, they get it at the 25 or at the 35.
Yeah, I just saw
So there's going to be a lot of kickoffs, which is more opportunity for guys to make plays, more opportunity for guys to get paid.
Yeah.
We talk about double-digit special teams tacklers.
Yeah.
They get paid. Now it's like more like, oh shit, if the guy has 20 tackles, now we're probably aiming at the 20 mark with all these kickoffs. But I want to talk about that first preseason game because I vividly remember there was a German flag in the stands.
Mm-hmm.
How cool was that to see, people recognizing, we have a German guy on the team, and that German flag was flying in Acrisure.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Even in Latrobe, I saw a German flag. When you walk up that hill and like a lot of people are screaming, but then you hear like somebody speaking in German, so you're like, you kind of want to talk to them a little bit. So it's pretty cool to see. There was even a German reporter coming out and talk to me afterwards. So it's definitely becoming a thing there. And even the Steelers, they're definitely a team that a lot of Germans are rooting for.
That's awesome. I love that.
German or just some guy from Blaunoff with terrible Yinzer accent.
Yeah.
Just that doesn't sound like English.
Yeah. if you hear a Der Bleistift Spitzer, it's me. So.
Hey,
So we've never actually done this on the pod, but I want to hit a little rapid fire, quick question, quick answer with you real quick. So I got a couple written down.
Look at him.
Favorite American food?
Barbecue, just a good American barbecue.
All right, I like that. Most underrated German food?
Weisswurst.
What the hell is that?
It's in Bavaria, you eat it. It's a white sausage. You boil it. You take the skin off, eat it with a pretzel and mustard.
Oh, sounds fire. Yeah. What about this isn't on my list, but your favorite beer?
It's called Radler. It's kind of beer with a little bit of Sprite in it. So, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
They don't do that down at the Hofbrauhaus.
We just
They don't do that down at the They don't do that down at the Hofbrauhaus. No. I've been trying to get this guy to go to Hofbrauhaus on a Thursday. I told him, I said, everybody, we should go.
On the tables.
Yeah, they pounding the beers.
Yeah, dude, let's go.
Yeah.
All right, one cultural difference that surprises you here in America.
In America, I remember the first time people always say, "What's up? How you doing?" Even though they might mean it. But I remember I went to a restaurant, took a piss in the stall. A guy next to me said, "What's up?" And I was like, what do you mean, what's up? I'm taking a piss. So it's just knowing they don't actually ask you what's up. It's just a phrase. People seem really nice here versus Germany. They all seem more grumpy.
I just picture you being how do I answer?
Yeah. I was right doing it. I'm
doing good.
Yeah, I'm doing what I'm doing. Yeah.
All right. You're the funniest teammate on the Steelers.
Funniest teammate, probably. I mean, you were pretty. I'm not gonna say that, but I remember you're one of the first ones that also came up to us as a rookie, and I was like, this guy. I like how he includes the rookies, sits down, gets to know them, and just being a funny guy too. But then when it's serious, you also know when to walk in. So
I appreciate that. Yeah. Best drip in the locker room. Best swag.
Last season or
last season?
I think Lario last season.
Lario got some drip to him. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. One thing NFL fans would never guess about you. That you were a skier. Yeah. That's I would never have guessed that. When I was reading that, I was like,
we gotta get a ski celebration. You get a sack.
Dude, yes. Yeah. Like you're going over moguls.
Yeah. I did.
That'd be sick.
I did the racing, but I did the moguls too, and we did it one time, and I hit a backflip and I landed it. So that's
fucking
that was
cool.
Pretty cool. So many people don't know.
Backflip.
I didn't even.
Wait, you hit a backflip off.
You know the mogul or is it called moguls where the bumps and then there's a ramp and then the bumps? Yeah, we did it one time for fun, and the day before I practiced a backflip and I landed it. So I was like, well, if I land a backflip, I'll be first. So I was like, After that, I just put my head back and I landed it.
That's commitment.
Crazy.
Dude, that is badass.
Yeah.
That is.
Just do a backflip if you get a sack.
Yeah.
That'd be sick.
I feel like people have done that before.
Yeah.
Couple
I
guys.
think I'm too big for that.
Have you noticed American food being like more fatty and more?
First 3 months, my
Trash.
stomach was kind of in shambles.
Really?
When I came to the U.S. I'm used to it now, but definitely whenever you go home, it's like more fresh and not as heavy on your stomach, I feel like, in Germany.
Yeah.
And it's cheaper too, I think. But that's another topic.
What's your favorite American movie?
American. I mean, I never watched Top Gun till like 2 years ago.
Top Gun's fire.
So I'd say the original one. I didn't watch the new one yet. I know there's a new one that came out, but just the original one. I always like military movies. Lone Survivor, I'd say, is also one of my. Just because it was real and just how badass those people are.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty cool.
The military movies are always like American Sniper.
Yeah.
Lone Survivor. Yeah, those movies are gasoline. What else you boys got for Julius today?
Nothing, man. I'm just really excited to see preseason and like see you out there.
Thanks.
And that's my biggest takeaway is like getting to meet all of these guys and like learn a little bit more about you.
Yeah.
Like it makes preseason and like those roster cuts and like all those pivotal moments like so intriguing for me to watch and cheer for you guys. So good luck to you, man.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate it.
we're here, whatever you need.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, Joe, I appreciate you coming on.
Of course.
I don't want to hold you too long. I told you we keep it short and sweet. I know it's getting hot in here, huh?
I can prepare it shorts. And
Yeah,
t-shirts,
Lance let him know, hey, you might want to go shirtless today because it's hot in that studio. That wraps up season 1, episode 37, 8, something. We're getting up there.
Oh boy, 38.
Like, share, subscribe, retweet, re-X, reshare it, do the dance.
Add the ski in there.
Oh.
There we go.
Next time.